Hmm. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Come on in and join us. We're excited. Hey, Nick. Hey, Tamika. How are you? Hi, Mama. Y'all, my mom's on. Oh, my God. Can I just tell you guys how tired I am? Oh, thanks, Nick. I am so tired. I had a photo shoot yesterday and yikes, I was up at like 4:45, out the door. It's crazy. But I'm here for you guys. I'm here for my girl, Andrea Bibb. I'm super duper excited to have Andrea on. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Back to the old school with the hair. So Andrea Harry Bibb, we met via work, right? You all know that I do styling for CNN, and she was an executive there, and we met. This was maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And we just were acquaintances, and then as time went on, we became very familiar and became friends. And her journey is just unbelievable. And I really feel like it's definitely worth a share, and it's definitely inspiring and empowering. So I'm super excited to have her on. Guys, thanks for joining everybody who jumped in. As you know, I'm Stacey Bryce Washington, founder of shiftHER, a platform for women. We talk about anything we want. At first, I thought I was just going to talk about menopause, perimenopause, fitness, nutrition. Nope. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship or whatever we want, right? We're going to talk about some style. I've got some great guests coming up. Super excited about that. So I'm glad you're here. What are you guys up to? What's going on? What's going on in your life? Did everybody? Oh, Nick did the eclipse. She recorded it. She was on live with it. It was very exciting. I didn't think I'd be into it, but it was cool. It's definitely a big deal, right? Watching the sun and the moon kind of cross. Weird. Or the moon crossing? Yeah. Nick, were you freaked out by it? Let us know about the total eclipse. Yeah, it was wild. It looked wild. And I saw you were looking directly into the sun. Was that good? I don't think you're supposed to do that with no protective glasses on. But okay. Anyway, did anybody else watch the eclipse? I'm interested. Hi, Kia. I should have my friend Kia on. We've been friends since, oh my God, sophomore year of college. And literally, so I was 18 because I entered college at 17. And we lived in the same boarding house in our sophomore year. And we lived in the same building. We moved in the same apartment building. And we've been friends ever since. So how many years is that? Yeah, it's a long time. But anywho, so Nick, you said I had the glasses on through the phone and looking through the phone, not the sun. Okay, good. So you're not having any issues seeing today, are you? I'm glad. It was very exciting, the eclipse. I think Andrea is coming in. Let me see. Andrea, you ready? Even though it's not 7 o'clock. One more minute. Really, I'm grateful to you guys for joining. It's a lot to.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
You see
oh,
my
Andrea.
outside.
There she is.
Oh,
Hi, Andrea.
I'm having some issues, but
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to hold the phone a bit.
Uh-oh. That's a long time to hold the phone, huh?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. This is my friend, Andrea Harry Bibbs. Say hello to Andrea. Welcome her in.
Hi.
Be kind,
my
be
friends.
generous. Andrea and I was explaining that we've known each other probably almost 10 years, but we became very familiar, I would say, in the last 5, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
That's right.
yeah, yeah. So, and it was probably the Jollof Wars at Agatha's house that kind of
Yeah.
solidified that.
And it would make sense that it would be food
It
that brought us
makes sense that it would
together.
be food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I am super excited to have Andrea here, and Kia's saying hi. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Um, because I really felt like her big shift from corporate America to entrepreneurship was worth the conversation, because there's a lot of people out there that want to make this shift and have a lot of fear around making this shift. And we know it is scary. It's not
Right.
it's not just do it type
Yeah.
of thing. Wouldn't you agree?
Exactly. Yeah. It's scary. It's scary.
It's definitely scary. So Dre, why don't you kind of so everybody knows we met. I mean, honestly, our connection is the big 3 letters, right? CNN. So that's
Yeah.
our connection, right? Yeah. So you worked there for how many years?
Almost 23. So
you worked at the same place for 23 years.
Almost 23 years. Yeah.
That's crazy. And FYI, Dre is a Canadian. Yes. Yeah. So she
Proud Canadian.
Yes. And came to the United States after college, correct?
Yes. So a year after graduation. So 2000. So I can age myself too. So yeah.
You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't in the group.
That's right.
If you weren't in the circle.
In this special group, yes.
Special group, right?
Yes.
So you came here after college, and we'll skip over the first opportunity, but then you went to go work at this huge media conglomerate, which is amazing. And you did that. But we're just going to fast forward through all of that, right?
Okay.
So marketing, DI, diversity, equity, inclusion, etc. And then COVID happened.
Yes. COVID happened. I was still in corporate, doing DI, and obviously that was a heavy time, but put a lot of things in perspective. Like you and I have talked about, me and many people have talked about, just how that made me really reevaluate so many things about my life during that time. So I was still in corporate and actually still there for another year and a half, 2 years, but I really started thinking about what was my purpose, what was my passion, what did I want to do kind of next. And so that was really the catalyst. That's when I started my other Instagram account. So I have a few. And
what is that? What is the other Instagram account?
Yes. So that's Drea's Quarantine Closet. So, and I haven't changed the name, even though we are post kind of quarantine times. But for me, that was a catalyst for really kind of thinking about me outside of, so many of the boxes that I felt like I was in, and this corporate box and this wife box, mommy box. Prior to that account, I never really would even post selfies. I would never do anything like that. But then during COVID, I just started, seeing these stories of mothers and women talking about how I have no pictures of myself, or I have no this, or I have no that. So that was part of it. But the other part was really, it helped me with my mental health. I was, kind of, locked off from a lot of family that was overseas and across the border. There were so many things going on with even loved ones in the US. And I was working at home in this office, in this basement office for the first time. I'd never really worked remotely. And I used to just want to wear big earrings. I wanted to dress to make myself happy.
Yes.
So I would just start kind of documenting what I was wearing on this account. And it was actually a good friend of mine, Georgia, who just suggested, she's like, why don't you just start an account? You post your quarantine closet and your stories, but why don't you just document it? And that's what happened. I wasn't doing it to become, an influencer or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I was truly starting the account for me, to help kind of when I got up in the morning, think about what I was going to wear, even though I was at home and just making this commute to my basement. But what happened through that was, I'm starting to like post and tag, a lot of the mostly, women owned and smaller businesses. I'm tagging them in the post with my earrings or my dresses or whatever, and started building relationships with these women, and also starting to be, so inspired by them taking that leap into entrepreneurship. And so that was really, I feel like, that spark. And, and it seems like, okay, it's this small thing, but for me, especially like being in this corporate box, following the rules for many, many years, it was something where honestly, like, probably could have been fired maybe, like if they caught, this. And I just was like, I don't care. I need this. I need to kind of like just, have this connection with people, even if it's just through sharing what I'm wearing. And so again, I feel like that was the catalyst, because a lot of those women I met are now in my boxes, and we can get to that. But like, I just had made so many amazing, amazing connections through that account, which led me to June Dragonfly eventually, finally, after years. But
I,
yeah.
I so love that. And just to recap for those who popped in, so this is Andrea Harry Bibbs. She is the founder of June Dragonfly ACB Group, and she's telling her story. So she's still in corporate, right? At what we're talking about, the time frame we're talking about
Yeah.
during COVID, early stages of COVID, working out of her home office, and started Dre's Quarantine Closet, where she's posting what she's wearing every day because she's still working, but working from home,
Yeah.
right? Little did she
Mhm.
know, right? Little did you know that that is propelling you and lifting you to the next phase,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
you're meeting all these different designers, etc., because you're posting clothes, earrings, etc.
Right.
By the way, whose earrings are those that you're wearing now?
So it's through an account called We Are Maud. So We Are MAUD,
Okay.
run by an amazing woman out of, I believe, the Maryland
Mhm.
area. And so these are like another designer. I don't know their exact name, but I got it through her.
Okay. And see,
So big
this.
earrings make me always feel feel
So
good.
what's interesting about that, and Andrea and I, so we talk every day because life is
Oh
like
yeah.
I can't
Yes.
not talk to her every day. Fine. So what is very interesting about what she's saying, and we both talk about this, when you're in corporate America, you can't do all the big earrings. This is the way we were brought up, right?
Right.
You can't do the big earrings. You can't necessarily wear your hair natural. These are things that we are the boundaries that are put in
Tradition.
place.
Right.
Correct. Tradition. Nothing. It's not. Maybe it's not okay for other people, but it keeps you like almost holds you captive
Oh yeah.
emotionally of who your true self is. And then when you
Yes.
step out of that corporate environment, you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
But right, but I'll tell you, starting my account, but also just all the things that were swirling around during COVID, I was like, you know what? Why can't I wear these earrings? And so I started like, wearing
Coming
my
out.
hair natural more, wearing big earrings, not being afraid to,
Hmm.
wear the bright glasses and all that stuff, right? During that time, because I was also like, life is too short, right? Which is kind of like, again, it really reminded so many of us. And so that's what led me to all the other things
During COVID,
too,
yes.
you know,
COVID,
during
COVID is
COVID, right? So why shouldn't I wear, like, how does this make me less of a VP, right? Wearing these earrings. And
any
guess
less.
what? And so, right. And we were on all these Zoom calls, and I remember like, people sending me DMs like, where'd you get those earrings? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get your glasses? And I'd be in meetings and I'm like on the side
Yeah,
DMing. But that was part of, also just showing up as me. And, hopefully for other women and other women of color, being able to show them like you can be your authentic self. You don't have to wait till you're in your mid 40s to do that, because literally I waited till like I was 44, 45 to start, I feel like, truly being a little bit more authentic,
correct.
in the workplace.
Right, which is really it's a scary proposition. And just because I deal with talent, one
Yeah.
of my things was always I we can't wear braids on air, like no, 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 right?
Hmm.
That was me, like I was like no, no, no.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to people saying no, I really think that we should not wear braids. And then COVID and I was like, wait a minute, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Right.
what
Right.
universe am I saying? This is not acceptable,
Hmm.
Stacy, right?
Hmm.
If people want to wear braids, as long as they're, like they're clean and
Yeah.
what have you,
Yeah.
if that's how they want to express themselves, because hair, especially for Black women, is a vehicle, right? It's a way to express ourselves,
Exactly.
right? So I definitely can definitely understand, and we've talked about this before about how just showing up and being who you are,
Right.
right? Regardless if that's straight hair, curly hair, braided hair,
Yeah.
whatever, right? You should be able, natural, whatever, you should be able
Hmm.
to do in the workplace. And so I like that. I've always admired the fact that the steps, because Johnny always says you cannot, there's always a process to everything. You
Yeah.
cannot skip steps in life.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You don't
Hmm.
leapfrog for things.
No.
So Dre's quarantine closet, that went down, right?
Hmm.
While you're working, etc.
Hmm.
Right? And then,
And then,
and
and
then,
then, and then, let's say, so it was 2022, I guess, is when I left. So I ended up taking an exit package, had all these plans of like, I'm going to take time off. I'm going to, just be with the kids. I'm going to relax. I'm going to like, zen out, all that stuff. And what I found is like, I left in August and my calendar was still full. Like I was still filling my calendar. So again, like for people making this transition, I thought it would be good. Like I had all these plans, but there's so much that had been ingrained in me for 20 plus years. So having an empty calendar, like what's that? So I was filling it with calls, filling it with lunches, breakfast. Like I was keeping myself so busy, but not being able to like truly, grieve leaving. Because it's, no matter how you're leaving, even though it was my choice, I still had to, grieve the end of that relationship. And I didn't really do that. I was keeping
23 years,
myself busy. Hmm?
23 years.
Yeah,
That's a relationship.
almost 23 years. It was, I think, 22. Yeah, it was like just over 22 at that time. And so, it was a tough time. So after a couple months, I realized I need to slow it down. And during that slow time is when, people started approaching me about like different projects. And one of the projects basically was with a friend, Ivania, who kind of like helped catapult me into starting my consultancy. So also have a media consultancy company and
Called
started that.
ACB,
Yep, the
ACB Group.
ACB group, and started working with a lot of small businesses, or businesses that happen to be small, at the time. So helping them, a lot of like women-owned businesses, and honestly, I feel like that also really gave me the confidence and like the encouragement to like, what, start this other thing. Because also now I know how to register a business. I know some of the things, and it made it easier a few months later. So last July to register June Dragonfly, and honestly to do something that I talked about and thought about for 10 years. So you were one of the trusted people who had said, I want to do this like gifting thing. It'd be great for me to do this one day. And you were one of the people I told. And I just decided I turned 47 in June last year. And I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of feel like there's more time behind me than in front of me. We've talked about this too.
Yes.
But, usually I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm not afraid to talk about birthdays and that sort of thing. But something about turning 47 and kind of approaching 50 made me feel like, you know what? Like, I need to figure out like what I
This emergency.
really want to do
Yeah.
or do right or do some of the things that I've been thinking about because tomorrow is not promised. And there's so many reminders of that constantly. And so I just said, you know what, I'm not going to wait till I'm ready, because I think that's also something, especially as women, I'm not going to generalize, but at least for me and a lot of women I know, especially Black women, we're told we got to be the best. I'm the older sister too, so I'm like, I always was like, follow the rules, do all the things, and so just kind of play by the book, go to school, get the good internships, get the good job,
This
and
whole
kind of going
this whole
into
thing.
entrepreneurship. Right, going into entrepreneurship was really something outside of who I even thought of for myself. And I decided, with June Dragonfly, I didn't know, and I still don't know all the things I need to know, all the business things I've learned. And I'm grateful to like, partners. I'm grateful for customers who were like, I don't care. We're going to do this. I need a box, like figure it out, and I'm glad for those people who supported me and who allowed me to like really learn on the job. And I'm allowing myself. It's still hard. I still have to like give myself 18 million pep talks a day, but I'm glad I didn't wait till I had my business plan. And I talk about this a lot until I had all of the ducks in a row. I just did it, and then I really honestly thought about a lot of entrepreneurs who are not Black women who just start things and they're cool with it, right? And have the confidence. And so I just started it and I would talk about it. And that's the thing, like, also when it's like this passion and it's this thing that you're more aligned to. I didn't have a website, I didn't have anything. And I was talking about it so passionately that people were like, sign me up. And that's, I think, also, us really kind of being in tune with ourselves.
Well, and I also, I might add that you spent 25 years building a
Yeah.
reputation, right? So you have
Right.
people who know you and know the quality of your work in general,
Yeah.
right? Know your work ethic, etc. So if, Andrea Bibbs is saying she's starting a business, let's all try to get in line. I believe that you have some equity there, right?
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
But it's hard,
yeah.
especially when you're doing something that's outside of what you did,
Mhm,
right?
mhm. And
I
so
mean,
understand that, let me just
yeah.
tell people what tell people what June Dragonfly is.
Yes. So June Dragonfly, we're a gifting company right now doing gift boxes. And I source all of my products from women owned businesses as well as sometimes some minority led businesses as well. And I curate gift boxes right now for individuals and for corporate. Right now, I'm selling them mostly through my DMs, through email, through pop ups. And again, like, I'm also, working on shout out to Inmo Creative. I'm like, they're so patient with
Heather,
me.
Heather's in the
They're helping
building.
me with, they're
Heather's in
helping
the
me, Heather
building.
and hey, everyone on the team, but they're helping me with my website. And haven't even like launched the e-commerce piece. And so that's been a blessing. It's, been since July and I've been able to kind of just, sell through kind of word of mouth and people receiving the boxes and then wanting, their own boxes to gift to other people. So, I mean, that's been a passion of mine. I love, again, this is a way for me to give back and to really support some of these amazing, you know, businesses, designers, and brands that I feel like need that true exposure. And even though I'm small, I'm still able to support them. And in turn, people who buy my boxes are supporting some of these amazing brands. And, it's just something I feel very, very, proud of, and making little inroads. It doesn't matter how big my brand is, but I still feel like I'm making, some sort of an impact.
So my mom said she loves the one that she just said that she loves the one that I gave her, the
Oh,
box.
thank you, Mom. Thank you.
And we love you
Love you,
too,
Heather.
Heather. But I think that what people don't understand is, it's the just getting started, right?
Yeah,
You and I both, we are simpatico in this, right?
yeah,
Um, when Johnny came home and said, okay, well, we're in COVID. So what are we doing? We want some cake, right? We wanted pound cake.
yeah,
And he was like, we're going to start a pound cake company. What? Who? When? Why? Why are we doing this? Right. And so
yeah,
it's the fear. So let's kind of unpack that a little bit, right? And you and I have talked about it. I remember while you were still at the network, right? And we were talking. I remember exactly where I was standing. It sells chills up
yeah.
my spine. Did this speaking about it, that you were like, I want to start this company. I would love to send these gift boxes out and have them at events and all of this and that. And here we are in 2024. I'm getting weepy, like
Don't
seriously.
make me
And,
cry, please.
and you've done it. You've done it. And that
Thank
means
you.
something, right? It means something. So tell people, like, because we talk every day. So you should tell people, like you said, you have the talks with yourself, right? That you
Yeah,
can do it. We're going to do it. I can do it,
yeah,
right? Like when we were
yeah.
talking an hour ago, where were you? An hour ago,
Was
where
that?
were you?
I was at FedEx, Kinko's. I was trying to like pick up some stuff for a box, my inserts and and stressing out. And I was talking, I see Laura on here. She's the owner of Modestine Tea, like
Hi,
phenomenal
Laura.
brand. So you two, I said I'm going to connect you both for real
Oh,
because she
yes.
needs to be on here too. We need to
Yes.
talk.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but it's so important to have people who can listen. I've had a rough week and a half. Like what? I mean, like, entrepreneurship is up and down, and it's been hard and you can beat up on yourself. And especially like when we go back to that perfectionist thing, and especially, feeling like we have to be perfect in so many parts of our life when you're not. Like, this is why I feel like the entrepreneurship is such like a learning. I mean, it's so many things, right? But it also is teaching me, to really truly try to have that grace with myself, which me and Laura were fully all up in that conversation yesterday and today, trying to hold each other up. Um, and even with the fear, even with the ups and the downs, I'm still pushing forward because I feel like, again, there's this like feeling inside, that says like keep going. It's hard. And again, it would be so much easier to go get a corporate job, go do the thing, get a regular paycheck, all those
All
things.
those things
And something in
with the
me
good
is
health
like,
insurance, the good health insurance,
right,
all
all
these
the
things.
things, you know, and I'm still pushing. And I know people are like, you know, um, for real, Andrea, like, and again, who knows? Maybe I might have to go back at some point, but I know there's a lot of people who sometimes are like, are you like really serious? And I am
And you
still, but
are.
and so for people who are trying to make this shift, right? It's make sure you have people around you that are going to support you and who are going to continue to like lift you up and push you to continue doing what you're doing and what you believe that you should be doing.
Ooh,
Ah,
okay.
girl.
Ooh,
I'm holding, and I know, I'm sorry, it's
I
distracting. Like my ring is in
know.
my, it's all the things, and I'm holding my phone like by the cord.
Don't worry
So,
about it. Like,
but again,
this is what we
like fear is a
do.
serious thing, right? There's self-sabotage, there's all sorts of things that come to play, and you just have to keep pushing. You just have to keep pushing.
So you mail these boxes all over the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are calling you, companies are calling you, etc. And you just said you don't even have your e-commerce up yet, which you're
Yeah,
working on with Inmo,
right,
right?
right.
Get that e-commerce website up.
No,
But
I know.
but I'm saying you're still pushing through
Yeah,
the process. You're doing pop-ups. So your next pop-up is coming up
yeah.
Sunday
So for those in Atlanta,
at Phipps Plaza on
Fitz
Sunday. Get
Plaza,
into it. Get into
Sunday,
it.
12 to 6. And that's with an amazing group of women and some minority led businesses as well. But Ola Amiga Experience. And again, met them through doing these boxes. So they're producing this series. It's going to be a monthly series starting in on Sunday. So we'll have one April, May, June. And it's just an amazing way to support a lot of these local businesses. We need that some more support more now more than ever. And for me, it's like really just about like intentional buying. There's so many of these bigger companies, that don't care about us, right? And don't care about their employees. And so, when you're really, listen to my little spiel, right? But when you are, supporting some of these smaller brands, like you are impacting their lives in ways that sometimes you could not imagine, right? And so, just like the more I'm even getting into this road, I was always such a huge supporter of smaller businesses, local businesses, now even more so, because I understand, how impactful even just one purchase. And like those pop-ups, they're not easy. You don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes I sell one card, sometimes I sell like a few boxes, but I just have to push. And again, who would go from a cushy office, right, to freaking lugging a 60-pound tent and lugging all this
Right.
stuff? And like sometimes, like, I feel like crazy sometimes. And I'm like, but it's the passion and it's the talking to the people. And, you never know where those conversations lead to, and not necessarily even a sale, but like, just like
Right.
interesting partnerships, like interesting people that I now know. And so that's like what fuels me. And again, like leaving corporate, I just wanted to do something that I felt like was really going to, impact my community, and something that my children, my husband, my family could be proud of, even if maybe some of them don't understand it right now. But, I want to leave a legacy where I'm truly like making an impact.
It's so funny that you talk about legacy because in the Black community that's a big conversation right now, and Black
Yeah.
wealth. and for your kids, right? I think that, wealth is relative, right? So most people are
Yeah.
talking about money,
Yeah.
but if you don't leave, let me see, like an emotional legacy for your children,
Right.
for your family, I think that giving people the fortitude, like Johnny always said to me, your father left you so much, so
Right.
many jewels. There's no way if he didn't leave those things that you'd be able to do what you're doing right now,
Exactly.
right? And I
Exactly.
just
Right.
think so big. So when you say that, talking about legacy, right? It's like your children are young. They're watching you.
Yes.
They are watching you
Yes.
do this. They're watching it unfold and be consistent, right? You're still picking folks up at the bus stop. I
Right.
know this for a fact. You're still dropping people off at the lunch. You're still on the PTA. You're still doing all these things, and the kids are watching
Yeah.
this happen. And so you're leaving seeds. You're giving them. You're putting the seeds on the ground, so they're following that, right?
Yeah.
And they're watching that. So now their outcome is going to be completely different had you stayed in corporate,
Yeah.
right? And they would be successful, but now there's other things they're looking at,
Yeah.
right? They're like, well, wait a minute, I have other options. And to me, that's legacy, and
Yes.
it's also freedom.
Yes. Yes.
It's
I want
freedom.
that for them. And it's nothing against my parents worked great jobs,
Both of us,
right?
right? Yes, yes.
Right. And I didn't understand, but they worked hard. They worked
Hard.
hard to provide for me and my brother and my extended family, right? And we didn't have I'd say, they didn't have the luxury of being entrepreneurs and maybe following their dreams. And I can see where my parents could have done other things, like where their gifts could have led them, right? And again, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but I do want my children to understand that there are other options for them, even if they do go the corporate route. Like, have your thing on the side, like do something that's going to be, so you're not always like beholden, or if you get laid off or something happens, that you're so upset because that's what you were relying on for your for your well-being or whatever, right? So for me, showing them this, because when I told my daughter, who was, I guess she was 8 at the time, 8 or not 8, and when I told her I was leaving, because she has such a connection, right,
Yes,
to CNN,
yes.
and she had been on CNN at 2 months old. I went in like for a shoot, like for a segment. They needed a baby, a baby, and I brought her in. So that like was like her second home. And when I told her, she cried, right?
Wow.
And it was emotional because I was like, oh my God, my 8-year-old is attaching me to some place, right?
Mhm.
And I said, it's going to be okay, because she didn't understand like the money part. Like, she's like, but how are we going to go there again? Or what are you going to do? Like, she was so confused. And so now to have her with me at pop-ups, to have her with me putting boxes together, and even for my son, who's now 8, who I didn't really explain it to him, but now he understands like mommy's work. And he's like, you're June Dragonfly,
That's
you know,
huge. That's
that
huge.
it makes me emotional,
It should.
right?
It makes
Because
me
it's
right.
hard, right?
I mean, the
It's
fact
hard,
that
but
you're
for them
leaving.
to see it, that this is mine, right? And so mommy working long hours, they might knock on this door, right? But mommy working long hours is for them. I want them to be able to believe and know that they can do other things, right? They can do things, they can follow their passion, right? And that their mommy did it at like, her late 40s.
And again, having the choice and options.
Right.
Again, I look at it like freedom. Like, I always tell my story that I came home and my husband had the LLC. He formed the business, and I was like, what's
He
happening?
saw
And so,
it for you. He
right,
saw
he
it for you.
and I've been blessed to have people that see it for me.
Right.
Haley's on here.
Yes.
Haley saw this for me.
Yes.
I did not see it for myself, right?
Yeah.
So
We
I
talked
think that
about it. We talked about
yeah,
it. Oh, I love all the
yes,
comments.
thank you.
The Lola's on here. Shout
Shout
out to
out
the Lola.
to the
The Lola.
Lola.
The Lola is what brought, we were ready together, but that's brought Haley into our life. That brought Inmo
Inmo,
Creative into our life.
yes.
And I did a holiday box for the Lola. So the Lola is in Atlanta based, but also can be worldwide, global, digital community of women who are doing amazing things. I've met like so many partners, vendors, support system, through the
And
Lola. So it's amazing. And if you're into the Atlanta area, they're having a every third Friday they have sort of an open house. You can come through and co-work and then have wine at 3. But it's just such a beautiful place. And so I put together curated their holiday box and brought my daughter in. And then Dana, who's the CEO, she brought her daughter in, and we were there like putting boxes together, you know? And so it's beautiful for our kids to see us. I was just telling Dana this yesterday, for them to be in the cut with us through it, you know? And
well,
hopefully it's something that they remember.
in the trenches, like they are
Right.
watching this
Right.
unfold. And let me just say this about the Lola, because you know how, like, you brought me
Both of
there.
us.
And
Yeah.
right, wait, you brought me there, and anybody who knows me knows that, you know what, I'm an extrovert introvert, right? So
Right.
when I'm outside, but if I'm inside, I'm inside, right?
Right.
And I was very like, I don't know, this is too
I
much.
know.
My first visit, here comes Haley Curtis, who is now my social media manager, right?
Yeah.
All in my face, like,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Haley. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, this is a lot. This is stranger danger, right?
But
You know, but
thankfully I
look,
was there to bring
right,
it all
thank God,
together.
yes, you brought
We
it
like
all in,
space.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, Drake brought me down off the mountain, and now, like, we've been riding, Haley and I, for almost a year
Yes.
now,
Almost a
right?
year. But
And
it's so important. I see Laura from, Modestine talking
oh,
about like how it
legacy.
truly takes a village, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
that is a village I almost didn't even know that I needed. Like it just, I knew the power of the Lola. I've been a supporter, but hadn't been a member. And so just being in there, I mean, it's brought so many amazing people to my life. It's not a commercial. This is for real. Like,
No, this is
like
for real.
it's been a special, special place. So,
And I told Dana this yesterday, but I applaud her for really fostering an environment, and specifically for Black women and Black entrepreneurs. Okay, I have never felt so supported.
yeah.
Okay, from my business. I mean, every time somebody in that building has an event, I'm getting a phone call, email about Buntish.
Yeah.
Okay, when we are not at this moment, we're not focusing on it as much because we have so many other projects going on.
Yeah.
But that will come. We'll be focusing hard in 2025. But
Yeah.
the point is that how supportive, and it does take a village. Yes, you are correct, and that is so important.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to be a member there. So no, it is not a commercial. But anybody who's in the ATL, I would
Yeah.
definitely
Hit us
suggest.
up. Yeah.
Yes. Let us know,
Hit
Dre.
us up. We can get you free passes for next Friday.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah.
And there's so many events. I mean, I could post it
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
There's so many great events. But anywho's, so here you are. You're doing it. You are actually doing it, right?
Yes.
Every day, you're living it, you're breathing it, right? And it's not perfect, right? We all know that entrepreneurship is a journey. It is
Yeah.
not. I don't know if there's no destination, right? It's just a
Yeah.
fluid journey. And again, you can't do it alone,
No.
right?
No.
And
And even as a solopreneur, I'm not doing it alone, technically, even though some days it can feel like that, but I know that I have this, and that's what I said like earlier. It's so important that we, create that extension for ourselves of like that village of people that we can like call on when you feel like giving up, when you feel like, oh my God, like what am I doing? You just want to go under the covers. It's, we need those people to really push us. You need that. And, for those of you who are right now still in corporate and thinking about entrepreneurship and thinking about it, I'm here as a resource. Reach out to me, but like start talking to people, get prepared, like, get your LLC. There's certain things I was so entrenched in the trenches in corporate that I didn't have time to even think about doing that. But those are some like bits of the advice I would give someone who is in corporate now, who is thinking about doing something, but maybe not even know what it is. Just register your LLC, register your name,
Okay.
right?
Well, and let me just, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
be careful starting LLCs, y'all.
Mm.
Corporation. Just saying. Tax.
That too.
Be
See,
careful with the
like
LLC.
this is why you're in my life.
But I'm just
all the
saying,
different,
right? And
all the things, right?
maybe we'll have
Absolutely.
right.
Right.
And it's
A part
part
two, a part the.
two. But
Yes.
anywho's, per your point, you just have to get
Yeah.
started. You got to just
Yeah.
jump out there,
Yeah.
and you have to do it. Now, I think that what is important, right? And you tell me how you feel about this,
Mhm.
it's important to just get started, but you need to have something quantifiable. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, like, guess what? There's a lot of things I would love to do, but they're not
Mhm.
quantifiable. I can't
Yeah.
build a business, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important, like with you have, I think it's important that you have some kind of idea with some structure. So
Right.
you had structure in Dragonfly, like you had the name locked and loaded, right? You knew
Yeah.
that's what
I mean,
you wanted.
yeah, right. But I will say that, like, there are a ton of gifting companies out there, right? Like that have been around for a long time. So even over the years, I stock these, these businesses that technically are like my competitors. Like, who am I to think I can compete with some of these, the big ones that are out there, right? And again, sometimes that's where you have to get out of your head. I You have to believe that you're still bringing something once you have that quantifiable thing, right? Once you have it, you have to believe in yourself. Like, I mean, when people talk about like entrepreneurship being like this land of Delulu, this land of delusion, it truly is in a sense, because you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in you being someone that you've never seen before. You have to believe that you can do these things that like people are saying that you shouldn't do, or people are saying XYZ, right? Like you have to like have some sort of deep down, like, I am going to do this thing. I'm just going to do it. And so, starting it, you can look at the competition, you could look at them for inspiration, but you have to believe that you're bringing something that's different, that's unique. You're bringing yourself to that business, to that thing. And so for me, I know that there's tons of amazing gifting companies out there. Um, but I feel like what I bring to June Dragonfly, you might not be able to like curate the way I do. You might not be able to have the relationships and like, or some of the like real, like in the trenches, conversations with some of these partners and brands who are, and the love and the care that I'm putting in to each box, so,
And it matters.
that's what drives me. And I'm just like, I make mistakes. And like, for me also, part of it is just not trying to like get so down on myself, trying to like get out of my head and give myself some grace, give myself some empathy. And that's what I'll say, also just quickly, for those of you that support small businesses, like, again, just giving them the grace, right? When they mess up, I appreciate that so much, from partners, vendors, customers, just extend some of that grace that you might extend to like, some of those bigger brands too. But
And
we appreciate you.
I think it's interesting that you brought that up about extending grace. And you and I have talked about this before, right?
Yes.
One thing with small business is you cannot overextend yourself. So, example, people are always saying, why don't you do this with Buntish? Why don't you do that? Why don't you advertise like this? Why don't you advertise like that? Because we can't handle what we know about our
Oh,
product is that it's dope. We know that it's good,
right.
right? So we know if we advertise, can we handle the volume? And if you
Yeah.
can, we'd rather have no customers than angry customers, right? There
True.
is a
True.
difference.
Right.
And you have to have some discernment with that. So I need you to speak to that because we've talked about that as
Oh
well,
yeah.
about how pacing yourself, right,
Yeah.
until you get your weight up to
Right.
be able to have the staff to be able to support the
Yeah.
volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, we've talked about that. I mean, and that's partly even with the site, taking my time a bit, like, and even when I roll it out, we're not going to have like, tons and tons of boxes. It'll be like a slow rollout because I want to make sure that like, as I'm trying to understand Shopify, as I'm trying to figure out all these different ways to ship, I've been to have my own little system for the past 6, 7 months. Now I have to learn a new system. So I want to make sure that I have it right. And that's part of it. Again, like if someone comes to me with a 200 order, like an order for 200 boxes, I'll maybe figure it out. Or this other thing, it's like building relationships also with like other smaller women owned, minority owned box companies, right? That I can also like pass that along to. Like I'm not afraid to pass on the blessings, right? Like if I know I'm not ready yet. And even, I was having this conversation, like I'm always talking about the brands that are in my box. And some people I know, like from a marketing or strategic standpoint, would be like, "Why would you do that? You want people to come to you and buy your box and get that thing." But for me, it's all about like part of me putting these boxes out if someone gets this box and gets like falls in love with their candy paints, cuticle oil,
Ooh, the
shout
cuticle
out to
oil.
Sade,
Who is
who's
that with
Atlanta
the
based.
cuticle oil,
Right.
honey?
So she has this cuticle oil pen. And so if people fall in love with it and reach out to me and want like 50 of them, I'm going to push them. And this has happened with other brands like that have been in my box. I've pushed them to the brand. You
Right.
know, I want them to get that blessing because honestly, it probably is more cost effective for them to get it through them. Right. But so again, like there's things I'm figuring out, but at the core of what I'm doing, I'm never going to stop, you know, kind of shouting out and talking about the brands that I'm
Because
working with because
because
we're all
no winning,
trying.
because there's no winning in gatekeeping.
No,
There's no winning, right?
no.
Full
And we got to
stop.
change that,
Full
right? Like
stop.
we're getting into a crazy time where as women we're being attacked, you know, in the White House, like in politics and like all these different things. And so I also feel like that's why, you know, the customers that I have, I feel like are just so passionate also about like, listen, let me put my dollars with people I know. Let me put my dollars with people in my community. And that's what's beautiful. You know, people are talking about it's a tough economic time. So I feel so blessed when people are like, want to spend, you know, their money with me, you know, or some of these other brands
And
too.
because people have choices, right?
Right.
I mean, like you said, there's other brands out there, but again, I don't know if you guys can see it because I have my June Dragonfly box. Oh, keep it up, Mike. Can you see it? I don't know.
No, I can't. But who knows? After we
All right. Everybody go over there to the June Dragonfly though, so you can check out what's on June Dragonfly. But okay, so now here you are. You have ACB Group, which is
Mhm.
the PR firm. I mean,
Yeah,
excuse me, the marketing and the
yeah,
PR,
yeah.
and that's what you do. And you do
Mhm.
that for who?
So usually smaller businesses. I have a couple bigger clients. Right now, I'm kind of, you know, have just a few clients because I'm also trying to balance June Dragonfly. Um, but, you know, so do it for like, you know, smaller businesses, one that's a bit bigger. But, you know, and also sometimes people reach out for like kind of one-off projects or different projects. So do that as well. And that's what kind of, you know, that's still part of my background, part of all that stuff. So, you know, I'm going to probably keep doing it. But and you know it kind of flows with what I'm doing with June Dragonfly in a sense too. So you know, kind of right now, some of my clients are people that are in my boxes or some of the brands in my boxes.
Which now you see how that works. You
Yeah.
see how that
Hmm.
works,
Hmm.
right? So while you're out here not gatekeeping and passing things along,
Right.
right, it comes back around to you, right?
Right.
So what
Right.
is it like, really quick? What is it like balancing the two businesses? Because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Oh
So it's
yeah.
the
It's
same
it's
thing.
tough. And so that's why I have to lean into like right now it's more of a season of June Dragonfly as that's trying to come up. So it's hard. I mean, it's like anything. It's hard to have balance, you know? And so there's seasons of like where they kind of flow together, seasons where I'm focusing more on one. You know, where I, you know, can't take certain clients at certain times. I have to space it out, you know. So it's tough, but like it's just, you know, part of prioritizing and figuring out like what's most important at a certain time and at a season. And now I have to just be a little bit more selective on the ACB group side in terms of what projects I'm going to take on too. Just, you know, because there's a lot of stuff ramping up on the June Dragonfly side.
Right, especially launching that site. When is that? Do you have a launch date for the site yet?
Not yet, but the goal is within weeks. Let's say like the goal, like listen, honestly, like hopefully before Mother's Day. So that's the goal.
Okay.
That's the goal.
So we've got June Dragonfly hopefully launching on e-commerce. It's the business is launched. So if
Yeah,
you want
and
boxes,
there's a site, so you can go to the site to, you know, send me a message or, you know, send me an inquiry. Um, and again, that site, I had to put it up quickly myself through, you know, GoDaddy. Not perfect, not like, but again, part of what we were talking about, just starting, you know, and feeling like, okay, it's enough. It's good enough for me and good enough for like people right now. And again, like some of these clients don't care about maybe how fancy your site is at that moment. Like, and again, it's like pacing yourself and knowing that you can like iterate, you can change, you can evolve, I can launch this site. I can, you know, launch this site next month and make updates later in the year or, you know, change it at whatever time. But it's again, like giving yourself not trying to be perfect, right? And just kind of getting some things out there.
but you did it with quality. So let's be clear. So both of us are on the page of you should start, right?
Yeah.
But when you do things, you should do things with a level of excellence, right?
Yeah.
So you should pace yourself. Yes, you don't have to be
Mhm.
perfect.
Right.
Nobody's talking perfection, but you should do things with a level of excellence, right?
Hmm.
So as you put your package together that you're trying to push out to the world, right? You should think about what steps you can do at what time. A
Right.
strategy, just a
Right.
strategy, not business plan and
No,
getting
no,
all,
no. Right.
not what we're talking about, right? So
Right.
again, even your current site as
Yeah.
is done with level of
Oh,
excellence,
thank you.
right? So
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. So let's not
Thank you for
like
my baby site. But and also, I mean, it's also about like where you're going to make investments, right? And so for me,
correct.
my investment was in my branding early
That's
on.
right.
Worked with an amazing women-owned company called That Good out of Toronto that helped me with my logo, and some other branding. So that was an investment. And then, there's certain things I invested in, and other things that I was like, okay, I'll do X, maybe so right now, I don't have like this, full color box that's like all,
We talk
kind of
about
$10 a box or whatever, right? I have a box and then was able to like figure out MacGyver style for those of us from that are old and remember that show, but have figured out like a workaround, right? To still make my boxes presentable, but not spending, $5-10 a box, right? Like on this full colored thing. Because for me, I was like, also things may evolve. And so for right now, this feels good. And I still feel like it's a good experience for my customers.
and it is a very good experience for your customers. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Right.
you.
And you and I, it's funny, we talk about the boxes because I remember when you were getting the boxes, like I told you, when we started Buntish, like when people got the packaging and anybody who's received Buntish in the mail, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a presentation. And I had a
Right.
friend call me and say, "Oh my God, I didn't know you had money like that. I didn't know this. What do you have, a factory?" I was like, "What? We're out of a commercial kitchen, homie." And guess
Yeah.
what? These boxes we're ordering because we couldn't afford to buy, a pallet,
Yeah.
right? You're getting these
Right.
boxes, right? They're coming in like 200 at a clip.
Yes.
Right?
I
Tissue
know.
paper. Right.
Yes.
Again, but these are things you do to put the business together,
Yeah.
right? Like we spent our money in the branding piece
Yeah.
as you did, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's important. So I think what you're saying, and make sure I'm getting it right, is that you have to make a decision on where you're going to put the weight
Yeah.
of your dollar,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah. Because that's
it.
precious. It's precious when
Yes.
you're starting
Yes.
out. So yeah.
So
Yeah. So for me, yeah.
I love that. So I think that there are a number of things we talked about. One, give yourself grace because I think that's the number one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Number,
Absolutely.
give yourself grace. Number two, baby steps, like take the steps that are necessary, but in your own way,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what else do you have to add to that?
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Do it through the delusion, do it through all the
The
things. Like, I
Lulu, the
mean, the
Lulu, the
delulu,
Lulu.
just do it, because again, and especially when you think about just life and how precious it is, and, still being a news junkie, I still like, you see these stories, you see random things happen to people, and I'm just like,
Crazy.
right. And for me, honestly, like, as I was thinking about sort of the next step of my career and stages of my life, I honestly, during COVID, I was like, if something should happen to me tomorrow or next week, would I be happy with like what was in my obit? Would I be happy with like, again, that word legacy, right? Would I be happy with that legacy that I'm leaving? And so thinking about that has really driven a lot of the decisions I've made in the past, year and a half or so, or more actually. And so again, like it's just something that I've just had to really be conscious of, and really just keep that at the back of my mind again, like around legacy and about truly like, being happy with myself at the end of the day and like what I'm doing.
Excellent. I love that. And I will tell you, you single-handedly have changed my life. I mean, you are the kindest, most generous human being I think I've ever met. And
Oh,
I will
thank
tell
you.
you, yes, yes, yes. And I feel that if we all moved the way you moved, with kindness, with grace, with elegance, toward other people, right? Not just with ourselves, I think we'd be in a better place. So we're going to end with that. I appreciate you, friend, for
Thank you
joining
for
us
saying that.
today and coming on. Isn't she
And I,
Fatima?
thank you. But I will say before we come off, I
Okay.
will say, listen, the exact same thing for you. And, you know, like even just understanding that we're on this platform that you have created. Again, when I'm sitting there talking to you about stuff, you're listening to me and supporting me, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the platform that you're creating,
Thank you.
right? Not waiting for anyone to say you are qualified to do XYZ, right?
Right, right,
You taking the stand, creating your platform, creating the content that you want to see,
right.
right? And again, that's what we should think about in general, right? Creating the products you want to see, creating the brands you want to see, creating the content. And so I just want to say I'm so proud of you,
Oh, friend.
and you are helping so many women through this platform. So for those of you who don't know
Oh,
Stacy, follow her, follow shiftHER. It's incredible. It's incredible
oh,
also who
Fatima,
you've had
stop
on
it.
so far.
Stop it, Fatima. You're biased.
No,
I'm not
no,
listening to
she's not
you.
biased.
I know
She's
I
not
love listening.
biased.
Well, and you know what? It's funny you say that. Um, Creating what you want to see. Because here's the thing, and I'm just going to keep it a buck with
Mm-hmm.
everybody, right? If we wait to create, or if we wait for somebody to show us what we want to see, it's clearly not going to happen. Right?
No.
And I have this thing that was born in my head, and of course you're included in this, that why are we looking at other celebrities as our superheroes? We are
Right.
superheroes.
Yes.
What in the world, what universe are we in that we are doing that? I can go through the people that I know that are on here right now are superheroes, right?
Yes.
I don't need to look at women who are on TV or whatever movies, and no disrespect to them because they work their ass off to get where they
Right.
are, but they're
Right.
superheroes right in front of us. I can go
Yes.
down this right now. I can start with my own mother. My
Yes.
mother has 2,000 black Barbie dolls in this house right now that she creates all kinds of things with, that she's been collecting for almost 50 years of her life, right? That's
Right.
that's superhero stuff. My friend April over here, she's on right now too. She's a nurse. She has lupus. She has very, very amazing children, an amazing husband. She's built this amazing life. Fatima, I can go on and on.
Yes.
So we need to look at each other and say, we are the superheroes in our life. Look in your orbit and
Right.
look for the superhero,
Right.
right? Let's stop looking at, and I'm telling you this really quick because Dre has to go. I love Makeup by Shayla. I think she's a fabulous young lady. When she died, she was on Instagram Live before I jumped on. Literally 800 people jumped on just like that within
Yeah.
like 30
Yeah.
seconds, right?
Right.
She has millions
And
of people following her. But my point is that it was so interesting to me. We don't know her. We can't touch her. None of that.
right.
And it's so interesting to me that we put all this value because she lives a very fabulous life, and I think
Right.
she's amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm telling you, I'm telling you God's word. I ain't telling you no hustle, right? I'm keeping it a
Right.
buck. Like
Right.
this is, I didn't put any makeup on today because I didn't feel like it.
Listen, and you look flawless, so
Well,
whatever.
and I appreciate that. But you're about to, like, you have children you got to put to bed to go to school
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But
This is what we're
but
doing.
but just to your point, again, I was again having long conversations with Laura today too. And we were talking about that same thing. We're talking about a collaboration, right? So many times as she again has this amazing organic tea line, right? There are so many times that we might look to these big box stores. You might, again, like, I'm not hating on a collaboration with Target, I'm not
No,
hating on a collaboration with Saks or whatever, right? But there's so many things, like, this is a collaboration, right?
correct.
Like, it's a beautiful one. And the ones that we do, even with, again, some of our friends who have smaller brands, like, we can uplift each other through partnerships and through collabs,
Correct.
right? And we shouldn't, like, look down on any of that stuff, because there's power and there's so many beautiful things that we can do together. So again, like, it's, again, we don't, again, have to look to the superheroes. And also when we talk about pushing through, like, sometimes I post someone saying, like, you might get 2 likes, you might do a live, get 2 people, but we still do it, right? We still do it. We still push through. Again, you might do a pop-up and sell 1 card, you might do a pop-up but you still push, right? And so I think that's also part of that different kind of fire you have to have, not only as an entrepreneur, but like in this life in general, right? We just need to keep pushing on, and giving ourselves that grace, and giving that, extending it to others as well.
I love you, friend, and I
I
appreciate
love you
everybody who
too.
jumped on and supported us. So June Dragonfly gift boxes, curated gift boxes. You're going to get on that, right? Everybody go follow June Dragonfly. Dre's Quarantine Closet. Go look at her cute outfits because she always has something cute on. ACB Group, because you're going to get your PR marketing on for your business. Dre can help. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing today. We're doing Andrea Harry Bibbs today. That's what we're
Thank
doing.
you. Thank you, Fran. And
I
thank you
love you
all
guys.
for
Bye.
sticking it out, being on here with our chat. But I love you. Thank you for this platform and all that you do. I love you. And
Love to
again,
see you.
thank you to everyone who stayed on and who listened.
Okay, guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Well, in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Bye.
and make sure you make me a collaborator so I can post
Yay.
this too. So,
I will.
okay.
Bye,
All right.
guys.
Okay. Bye.